This has to be a tough one. I mean, walk me through your emotions here. Early in this game, Fred Warner carted off the field with what looks like a serious ankle injury. This team just can't buy a break. So many injuries. Walk me through your emotions right now.
Well, I'm sure my emotions are the same as a lot of the San Francisco 49ers faithful. It's emotional, it's sad. It's not just sad because you lose a great player on the team, but it's sad because it's such what Fred Warner has meant to this team, his consistency, his toughness. Uh, Before today, he's only missed one game in his career, if I'm not mistaken. And to see that way everybody reacted to the injury was just devastating. It's a hard blow. I couldn't imagine the San Francisco 49ers if they would have somehow pulled this game uh, out away in Tampa Bay against a really good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Baker Mayfield playing like an MVP candidate. I would have been incredibly surprised. I mean, they would have been one in my power rankings because I can't. What are you going to do with a team that loses everyone and still perseveres and makes it through? But of course, they didn't. Um, and they lose expectedly so with such devastating losses, and um, it's just a tough blow for the team. Not just the loss. The loss. I mean, they're still tied for first in the division. Um, I felt like the offense played really, really solid football outside a few mistakes. You know, the Pooney false start on 4th and 1, where it looked like they were going to try to go for that deep in Tampa's territory. Then they got pushed back 5 yards, just uncharacteristic, unnecessary mistakes, unforced errors, and then just overall offensive line play late in the game was disappointing. There's clearly some issue going on between Jauan, Jennings, and Kyle Shanahan. I don't know what that exactly is, what those conversations were, but there was clearly some frustration throughout the game with him. Another huge performance for Kendrick Bourne. Another really solid performance for Mac Jones. Obviously wasn't perfect, but gave him a chance to win, kept them in the ball game. Devastating interception. Again, they were forced to throw that pass because of a false start by Pooney that pushes them back. And they're going for the first down. He's going for the big play, and they instead of just running a simple QB sneak or a run or whatever they were going to run on that play, they have to throw for a 6 yard gain. He throws the interception, and it's just unnecessary. But I thought the interior offensive line was the issue late in the game, and I knew that would be the Achilles heel for this team. But it's not just on the passing plays, it's not just on the from the pass protection standpoint. It's it's ridiculous on plays that are set up successfully. Plays that are set up successfully, you got guys in space. All you got to do is block your guy, get in the way. Christian McCaffrey, let him do his work, and you can't even do that. And that's where it's starting to become devastating to this offense because you can draw up the perfect play, but if you have guys that are incompetent, unable to get the job done, unable to block people, unable to block linebackers, then you can't run these plays. And you should be able to expect your center and your guards to be able to get out in space and get up on a, Levante David is an incredible player, all pro bowl, big time guy, been playing for a long time. I got a ton of respect for him, but you should be able to at least be able to get in his way. He shouldn't be able to shock shed and tackle Christian McCaffrey right where they were. Um, and I think that's happened throughout the season on plays that are drawn up well, and we're looking at the center get up on guys and just whiff or not block at all. And I know that people looking at PFF grades and things like that, and I hate to harp on one guy, but it's been incredibly debilitating to this offense consistently. And there are plays that are drawn up for bigger gains that you can't get because one guy, throws a fly in the soup. And that's something they're going to have to address this offseason, no question about it. If they go again, like I said last year, if they go again with this same lineup, they're costing their team and they're leaving guys out to dry, and they're wasting good Christian McCaffrey years because he's making plays that could go the distance, could be bigger gains, but it's one guy every time that's throwing a fly in the soup. So that's something I'm sure Cal Shanahan has addressed and will continue to address. They don't have an answer in house right now. Maybe they try to address it at the deadline, but again, that's not a position you really bring somebody in and change things. But Receiver wise, Kendrick Bourne played well. Jake Tonjes did well in George Kittle's stead. I thought outside of one drop, Robinson played well. Made a big catch before the half after a huge drop. Um, Hopefully they get George Kittle back. Hopefully they get some reinforcements back on the offensive side of the ball, get a little healthier. Haven't heard a lot about Brandon Ayuk. Huge game from Eddie Pinero, a big reason they were in this game in the first place. I think he made a 52-yarder, 54-yarder, 42-yarder. Just has been incredibly stable. I would imagine he's going to be up there in Pro Bowl votes and All Pro because he's just been perfect so far from San Francisco 49ers. Uh, and it's allowed them to stay in games when despite the injuries, despite the issues offensively, despite the turnovers, and give them a chance. I think defensively they got a lot of questions.
Well,
I know they were juggling. Go ahead.
no, the big question here, and we talked about it going into this season, it was Jauan Jennings' time to earn a big contract. And what's most puzzling to me is, yeah, I know he's banged up. He was questionable coming into this game, and I'm sure he's frustrated, and especially with seeing a guy like Kendrick Bourne just go off back-to-back weeks. He probably wants those targets. But what the heck is going through his mind when he's getting in Kyle Shanahan, him and Kyle Shanahan are getting into it after the game? I mean, Richard, I know you have a lot of respect for Jauan Jennings. I know you love him as a player, but what is going on here?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure they'll ask Kyle Shanahan about it. I'm sure they'll ask Jauan Jennings about it. And maybe that'll give everybody more clarity about what's going on because I have no idea what's going on. Obviously, frustration when you're losing. It's hot. Um, it's a game of inches. It's one play here or there, one mistake, and one play in a game like this, and you lose by double digits. And I think that's what's frustrating Kyle Shanahan. I would assume is mistakes in the game. I don't know if it's lack of effort or lack of execution, but usually with that kind of response from Kyle Shanahan, it's one or the other. It's not just, hey, he's having a rough game or he's injured and he's not playing full speed or something like that. I think Kyle's been pretty understandable about guys being banged up and just not being able to do the job. Um, and so there's frustration clearly on both sides, and it'll be asked by a lot of reporters, I'm sure. But defensively, again, that was the issue in this game. Like too many open players, and I know everybody's like Fred Warner wasn't here, but this was in the secondary. Um, Too much space, not enough. It didn't look like they could play man coverage. They played Jair Brown, they played Mustafa, they played Siegel, and you saw missed tackles. You saw bad angles, um, and again, some of that is youth, some of that is just growing up and figuring it out. But some of it you can't have, and some of you got to get these things corrected. And I think you lose sight when you talked about last year. You talked about guys like Talanoa Hufanga and Gip and guys like that who were there in the past and played at a high level. You don't appreciate the execution and the angles, the little things that they do consistently to really mitigate big plays. And I think you're starting to see that when a quarterback has time and a quarterback is as proficient as Baker Mayfield has been, he's going to make you pay. He's got 12 TDs on the season. I think only one interception. An MVP candidate. He played fantastic football, down a ton of weapons, down Mike Evans, down Chris Godwin, lost Emeka Ibuka during the game to a hamstring, and still you would have never known. Tez Johnson, he pushed the ball down the field to Tez Johnson right before the half, led to was a touchdown, a great catch by Tez Johnson, and used a number of other receivers to get the job done versus the San Francisco 49ers. And I think you gotta give him a lot of respect for that. But there's questions. There's not enough pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, you lose Nicholas John Bosa. That's going to be a factor. And everybody's like, hey, trade. One person does not change the dynamic of this pass rush. They're going to have to find some answers in-house. They're going to have to switch it up. And it's not always just blitz. That causes more issues sometimes than it solves. So I'm sure they're going to come back together and figure it out. But there was too many Too many plays where guys were sitting down in zones, running through zones, scot-free, open, catching and running. And it's just not characteristic of a San Francisco Robert Saleh coach defense. And this is one of the down games they've had this season.
Well, you talk about Baker Mayfield and you talk about the struggles of this defense. I think it was all embodied in one play, and I think this play tipped the scales in the Buccaneers' favor for the win, and that was 3rd and 14. Baker Mayfield dropped back, scrambles out of the pocket, breaks numerous tackles, and stretches out his arm to get that first down. And then right after that, you see the touchdown that breaks this game open. It was a 1 point game at that point in time, Richard. You got to clean those things up, but it goes to show you how good
You got to have that play.
you,
You got to have that play. If you don't have that play, you don't deserve to win. And they didn't have that play. It's 3rd and long. You got him in the backfield. He gets out. You got 2, 3 guys in front of him between him and the first down marker, and you don't make the tackle. Like, you don't deserve to beat that guy that day. And hats off to Baker Mayfield. Heck of a play, but that's awful defense.
Let's talk about Baker Mayfield. You already mentioned that he deserves to be in this MVP conversation. I think he firmly is in the mix right now. We haven't seen this type of Baker Mayfield before. He's always been a solid quarterback, but right now he's taking this team and putting them on his back. Like you said, down their top 3 wideouts. He carries his team against although bruised up 49ers team. He carries them to a double-digit victory. Is Baker Mayfield the guy right now, the front runner for MVP?
I can't say the absolute front runner because of Josh Allen. The reigning MVP is still playing at a high level. I know he just lost to they just lost to the New England Patriots. But I think most people would still have him penciled in as the favorite, but Baker Mayfield's right on his heels. And if this team continues to play like they have, they're at the top of the NFC right now. They're playing well, even with the injuries. They'll get healthier when they'll get Mike Evans back, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka eventually get healthy. I can't imagine what the limit is for this offense. The flip side of that, their defense has to clean some things up. They're having a hard time stopping the pass. Mac Jones threw for 327 today, and with some guys that were not day one starters, or some guys that weren't even on the roster day one, and so that's going to be the Achilles heel of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. But yes, Baker Mayfield deserves a ton of credit for what he's doing, and what he's done all season is playing efficient football, doing what it takes with his legs, with his arm to win football games. And whether it's home or away, they're going to be a tough out.
The San Francisco 49ers, the conversation this week, I'm sure, is going to surround the injured talent that they were without, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Luckily, they're going to be getting Kittle back, but without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, they're hosting the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. How much does this change your expectations for the team? I know you thought they would tie the Seattle Seahawks in the division. How does this shift your expectations, if at all?
I don't know if it totally shifts it. It's definitely going to be tougher now. They're going to have to find some answers on defense. I don't think without a trade or a big time move, really on both sides of the football, it's going to be hard for them to really reach their potential. These are devastating losses. These aren't just normal guys you're losing. Like, hey, you lost a big time starter, or you lost a day one starter. You're losing all pro, future Hall of Fame players. And Fred was having another All Pro season before the injury, and Nick Bosa was doing the same. So I think it's going to be one of those situations you got to do it by committee. You got to do it by committee, and if you don't do it by committee, you're not going to get it done. And so I don't know. I don't know. If the offense gets healthy and Brock Purdy's there, and George Kittle opens the offense and Brandon Ayuk comes back, there's a long shot chance they can still win double-digit games and be in it, but this makes it exponentially more difficult to do.